It's still loading on Insta. And what I find, still coming up on Insta. All right, going live on the Instagram. Hey, party people. Okay, I am live. You got it up on the talk?
Trying to. It says camera source is required to ensure real-time interactions during your live.
Yes. I actually just got a new roof. I really appreciate it. Thank you. It's 1 month old. All right, you good to go?
We're going to see.
Okay. Is it live on TikTok though?
Yeah, but I don't know. I think it's just going to be showing a black screen. So basically, I don't know if I'm going to be able to. Oh yeah, I will.
See the comments.
Okay. No, so it actually has a separate tab for the comments that overlays this screen. So this actually might work.
All right. Well, how's it going? Welcome back to the live podcast, Jacoby.
Thank you. It's good to be back. I don't know if you guys are getting the wind.
Oh yeah,
down there in Texas like we are, but I was out in it all day today, and as soon as I get home, like I was asleep probably 8 minutes before we jumped on this, just because after I showered, dude, it just knocked me out. I was like,
you went to bed?
Terrible. I mean, I dozed off for a good, 5 seconds, but it was nice. It was nice, but here we are.
Yeah, heck yeah. Well, we appreciate everybody jumping in on the live. We try to do these every Monday, and just field questions, comments, stuff that the audience wants to hear about. We'll throw guest episodes in there from time to time, and then obviously in the fall we kind of start up our hunt talk stuff where we're talking more real time. And I think this year we're going to do those more of a kind of a semi-live format. We'll probably do them every week, but we'll just do them live. That way you guys can hear them right from the horse's mouth. But yes, we are getting the wind down here. I tried to take Leland on a walk the other day, and I pushed the stroller into the wind. I thought he was going to fly away. It was not good. I did get out and do some shed hunting on Sunday in the wind, and it was actually not too bad. Like we got it's funny because I got sunburnt, but then today it's like 30 degrees. Welcome to spring.
Right. So I'm going to just go ahead and end the live on TikTok.
Not working.
So someone commented and said no sound.
Awesome. We'll keep working through that.
So I mean, I tried it a different way where it was like through a browser. So therefore maybe it would get like banned this time, but I think I need to do the gaming one where it's like we're gaming or something. That way maybe it'll relay the sound, but that's for a different night, I guess.
Yeah, we will figure it out as we go.
That sucks.
Yep, I know. Poor TikTok. It'll get on here eventually. What's new? Have you done anything in the woods? Have you been shed hunting again?
The only thing I've done is look at deadlines for this upcoming year for like the draws and stuff. That's the only thing I've done. Other than that, I mean, I know we've been in the talks of possibly getting back into the swing of the Colorado pronghorn and stuff like that. I know you and Jayers have some unfinished business up there, as do I, but you guys are also going potentially to Wyoming, so that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I have a long-standing beef with the pronghorn out west. I mean, this will be, I think, my 4th time trying to kill a pronghorn with a bow.
How many times have you got successful
with a bow? 0. Yeah, that's the point. Yeah, you're on there with me. Half those times you were with me.
Yeah, but I don't know. So you guys are going to try to water hole it in Wyoming, I assume?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Is there any other way?
I mean,
I don't think so.
I guess not.
Not if you want
I
the.
guess not. Spot and stock. But
Yeah.
I understand if you guys aren't man enough to do that.
No, I don't think we're quite man enough to do the spot and stock. I've done that several times.
So,
Didn't work out in my favor.
something that I wanted to touch on today.
Yeah.
And a guy left a comment on the recent video, just a little short I did, like for the informationals.
Mm-hmm.
And let me try to find his comment real quick. I forget what it was on.
We've been only going 5 minutes, Hunter, to answer your question.
Okay, so Rob Fisher, and he said, "Can you guys talk about that on your next podcast? This is a really great question, and I need some answers. We hunt with a party of 4 every year, and if you hit a deer, that is your deer. I need to know your thoughts on this." And the question was, do you keep hunting after a failed recovery? So just paint the picture. If you shoot a deer, you think it's a good shot, it felt good breaking loose, you thought it hit good, and then he looked injured running away. But after tracking it, grid searching, all that stuff, you come up empty-handed, which it happens, right? It's hunting. You're shooting at a live animal.
Mm-hmm.
Do you consider that a notch tag? I mean, obviously not officially, since you don't have a body to put the tag on, but do you in your head say, okay, I think this deer's dead, so I'm not going to shoot another buck? Or do you have the opposite mindset where it's like, hey, listen, if it ain't in my freezer, I don't want nothing to do. Or like, it's not a notch tag, basically.
Well, the last time that has happened was 2020, and that was probably the worst year ever for me. I lost multiple bucks that year. Now, I killed 3 bucks that year, one being in Texas too, but I lost multiple bucks that year, and then one being the one that you found, right? That deadhead a long time ago. But I think you keep hunting, but I don't know if that's right. I do. I typically do. Thankfully, hunt in a state where you can typically kill more than 1 buck, so it's not like, you're shooting your 1 buck and continuing. But I don't know. I don't like it, especially in situations where you shoot a deer and it died. You're like, it's dead, right? And you just can't recover it. I don't think there's a good answer to it, but I think most people continue to hunt, and I definitely don't judge them for that.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I try to put it. Is like, I don't think there's any wrong answer. I think just like anything with deer hunting, whether that be your standards or your methods, it's like that's a rising and lowering bar. Meaning, like, sometimes you're like, okay, if you're getting your buck kicked and it's towards the end of the season and you hit a good buck and you don't find it, you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to wrap it up. Like, I might go a time or two more, maybe try to get another doe in the freezer. But other than that, I'm not going to shoot a buck. I'm done. But, if it's too early in the season where it's just like, hey, things are just now starting to heat up, just shaking off the dust per se, it's like I would be more apt to probably continue hunting if that's the case.
I wouldn't, if I shot a really good buck and I didn't recover him, I wouldn't go shoot a buck that wasn't going to make me happy just to say I filled a buck tag, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't go just smack a 3-year-old or something that wasn't going to
3-year-old son. That's a hit lister. What do you mean?
On pub. Yeah, for sure. But I don't know. I hate that. I hate the idea of this because I think 99% of people are going to continue to hunt. And I'm probably one of them.
I mean, the thing about it is there, I mean, I know from previous experience that those little things are tough, dude. Like, you can do some damage and then they will still live through it. So it is kind of hard to say whether or not you actually, like, is there one less out there? And then could you potentially shoot another one? Yes. But I think the majority of the time, and I want to ask you this, do you think the majority of the time certain situations like that occur and they don't get back on trail camera or whatever, do you think those deer survive?
I would say probably like 60%, 70% of the time they probably do. Like, but there are certain ones where, like, you hit one mid-body and you don't find them. and it passes through them, or it sticks. You're sticking 12 inches of arrow or 18 inches of arrow out of them, and you're like, no, it's dead. I just didn't find it. A good example would be like Justin's buck that we used with the dog where we took the whole 10 people down there. If we wouldn't have had the dog, like we would have just been like, well, I don't know. The deer's dead. It was dead 100 yards away. We couldn't find it. And what it makes me think of is like, I think back to all the situations where I don't think about the one where I wounded one and then it lives. Like that's great. But I think about all the situations where I've shot one and didn't find it. And, it makes me sick because a lot of those deer are dead. But it really depends I think it depends a lot on where you hit them and stuff, obviously. But I think too, when you hit them, you're like, oh, that deer is probably going to live.
Yes and no, because I mean, I feel like most of the people, so we have the luxury of having our cameras, being able to slow it down frame by frame if we get the shot on film. That's if, and we hardly ever, it seems like we get the shot on film. But, and a lot of the times that's kind of like the saving grace when it comes to whether we think that deer is actually dead or not, whether to go look for it early or not, or just go back to camp, eat breakfast, settle down and then gather the troops and go look, right? And I think a lot of people, most people don't film, but I feel like most people think they made a good shot, and most of them either got ducked harder than they thought, or I just think that most people think they hit it somewhere, and in reality they didn't hit it nowhere close there. Therefore it lives. That's the only reason like I say that.
There's definitely been a lot of times where you shoot and like the immediate reaction is, where did I hit it? Like you don't know at all, especially if you're pulling through a shot and like you're not shooting a lighted knock or something. You're like, a lot of times it's the sound for me more than even what I saw. I'm like, oh, I heard something. That
and the runoff reaction. Like, is it gimping? Is it huddled up? Is it like just hightailing out of there? Does it mule kick? I mean, those are, I guess, determining factors too. But I don't know. I just felt like that was a good little segment.
Yep. Use a dog or a drone. That way That's a good way. There's a few on Instagram. Kyle Ford Outdoors said 70 degrees here a week ago, -9 this morning, and 5 inches of snow. These deer don't know what's going on. I know. You shed your antlers and then you're thinking you're having like, oh man, here comes the green up, and then it snows on you 5 inches. That's gotta suck.
It was snowing here yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that on Brian's Facebook.
Woke up and it was 68 degrees, and then by 5 p.m. that same night, it's like in the 20s and snowing.
I remember in high school that happened one time when we were playing baseball. Like we're supposed to have a game and then it snowed and we're like, it's like March 20th. What the frick?
Yeah.
Hunter said we're almost at 10K, brother. Yep, Hunter, let me know when you hit it. I told Hunter I'd let him take over the HA Instagram for a day if he gets 10K likes.
I said that.
iHunt05 said it's almost never the exact spot we think. I tend to agree with that. Like, it is almost.
iHunt05, isn't that Gabe?
It's old Gabriel. Gabriel. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think it is the spot, but there are some. I shot one at Jesse's one time, like quartering 2 right behind the shoulder, and it just like you could tell it like full shafted. Was like fletchings were hanging out and like was in the back hip, and the deer ran off and like no blood, didn't find it, and I'm just like, no, it's dead. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, dude, yes. Like,
so yeah, in that situation where it's like kind of quartered and it's shish kebabbed, but it's like barely shish kebab, like the majority of it, and the arrow is just sticking in it, I think those deer are dead. Like, obviously, if you hit anywhere in the guts, if you have any smell of gut, that deer is probably dead from some sort of what do they call it? Sepsis or septic?
Sepsis.
Yep. Something like that. So I don't know. That is like, just to kind of pivot here a little bit, like not knowing exactly where you hit or where you thought you hit leads me to my next little set of questions, unless you have some on Instagram that popped up.
Hunter said, I tend to think they're on the neighbor's property. Before you move on to your next set of questions, I tend to think this a lot too, because how often do you find a dead head and you're like, never seen this deer before? Or I have no idea what this is.
The dead heads I find, yeah.
Right. I tend to think a lot of deadheads are sitting in people's garages that other men are losing sleep over, and it's like, oh no, I found it. That nice 8-point, like I have it. It's right here. And
I have like 3 of those in my garage right now.
no, I shed hunt, or at least last couple years, a bunch, and I rarely ever find a deadhead. It's not like ever. I rarely do. I found 15 sheds this year, one deadhead.
Yeah, but I think when you do public versus private, it's a little bit different.
Well, I guess up by you, there's so much hunting pressure, and it's not
so
just
segmented.
And it's so segmented that deer are probably getting shot and jumping property lines all the time.
Yeah, like
They
the
have to.
2 of them I found over at Iris. Those are 100%. Like Iris had trail cam pictures of those deer before, but I mean, more than likely, haven't asked, but I assumed the neighbor shot and it just went over there because there was vertebrae and all that crap.
So
and it was pretty fresh.
Is it wrong to? I don't think it's wrong to not ask the neighbor, but I think if a neighbor shoots a buck he wants to know about, he'll ask you.
Yeah, I mean, why? My
Would
thing
you
is,
back if somebody asked, like, "Hey, dude, this 8-point, this eye guards."
If somebody asked, yeah, and they could 100% prove for sure. Like if they had it on film or whatever, like, yeah, man, I ran an arrow through this, blah blah blah. It's like, awesome, here you go, like, congrats. But if they're just like, oh man, I could have swore that was the deer, and it's just like hearsay, they don't necessarily have any proof, then it's like, dude, I don't know you. And like everybody likes deer heads, and so it's just one of those things where it's like, I'm sorry if this is actually the case, but unless you have like definite proof, I'm keeping the sucker.
Yeah, or a trail cam picture of him. Because that 9-point deadhead that you found on public that I shot, I'm like, it was a 9-point. It had this side, and then we pulled up the pictures of him, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's definitely him. But yeah, because how often do people shoot a deer and they go, oh, what was he? And they're like 140-inch 8-point, and you're like, okay, let's go. And then you walk up to it and it's 116-inch 8-point, and you're like, hey, this
what
is
are you
still
saying?
Good. No,
are you nagging on me?
No, it happens a lot. You know how many times it's happened on the public with? It happened to Mason and it's happened to Justin down there too, where it's like, I shot a pretty decent one. Then you walk up on it, you're like, it was not a pretty decent one.
Yeah, dude. I think it was 2 years ago. Whenever Mason killed his 140, and then I think like the next day or 2 days later, Jordan killed his buck, and then I think the very next day, I shot mine, and I like that thing. I don't know what mine would score, but I was like, yeah, it's somewhere probably in the middle between like Mason's buck and Jordan's buck, and then I get it, and it's like smaller than Jordan's buck. And I'm not knocking on Jordan's buck by no means, but I'm just saying it's just like you get the big guy, and you're just like, I don't know. Mm-hmm. That's why I kind of like peeking or watching the film back before I tell anybody, because it's like, I don't want to get the big guy, and then people don't take my word for it no more.
Right. Garrett Sutton said, hope y'all had a good season and you're doing well. God bless. God bless you too, man. Couple more and then you can jump to that question. Gabe said, I find so many deadheads probably have 100 or have 20 deadheads. Yeah, Gabe, I think that has to do with where you hunt too, in Ohio, and the segmentation and everything else like that. A lot of agriculture. So
there's Ohio pretty segmented
where he's at. Yeah. He has some bigger pieces, but and then Rob said, sup fellows from New York. What's up, man? We were actually talking about your question.
Is that the same Rob?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Nice. Okay. What were you saying now?
My next one, and it kind of led into not knowing exactly where you hit it at most of the time, right? Like you think you hit it right behind the shoulder and end up being like either in the guts, back flank, somewhere along those, or whatever you want to input there. But it's the difference between target panic and buck fever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think there's a difference? Obviously, I think buck fever is some sort of target panic in a sense, and someone could definitely make it into that. But things that just from personal, anecdotal experience, right? How come, target panic, it'll come and go. Buck fever might come and go to a certain extent, but for the most part, target panic, it will happen only before the shot. After the shot, you're like, oh, I'm an idiot. You're not nervous no more. You're not really shaking. You just can't really hold the pin still, or maybe there's a different form of target panic where if your pin even touches exactly where you want to hit, you just, unleash it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus buck fever, where it doesn't matter if it's a doe, a buck, anything that you're going to shoot, you immediately start shaking. Now that could be before the shot, while you're squeezing off the shot, or after, you pull the trigger and you punch it and you're just uncontrollable shaking, right? So there's two different things. And also you can fix both, or I guess you can maybe not fix it, but control both. But I think where it really differs is like, okay, buck fever. Why don't I get the same? I still get shakes, but not as severely as on a doe versus a buck. They're the same exact thing, same exact distance most of the time, but one just has antlers on the head. And I can punch that doe all day long, but when it comes to that buck, it's like a 50-50 coin toss, right? It's like I might hit it, I might not, who knows? But so therefore, it's not really target panic in the sense, it's buck fever. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you categorize buck fever as just like excitement? Like, is that what you think it is?
I think it's an adrenaline dump.
And do you like, when do you primarily think it happens? Before a shot or after a shot or during?
I think it could have. So with me, it's like a jumbled bag. Sometimes it can happen before, and it's not like it happens like, okay, I see a doe, it's before, and then I see another doe, it's after. It's usually like in periods. So I'll go one season and it's like this, and then I'll go another season and it's like this. Mm-hmm. And I've had it where it's before, where if I even see something and I don't even shoot it, it's just like I get shakes, heart's thumping for some odd reason. It's like I'm not even going to pick up my bow, but yet I'm shaking.
Yeah.
Versus, now, or I guess last year there was doe, didn't really shake. If I wanted to shoot one, I shot one. It's like cool. But then as soon as that buck steps out, it's just like all over again. It's like do, and then that's it.
Obviously everyone agrees that target panic is a thing. That's like a fact. I have, from probably 2020 to like 2024, I didn't really struggle with target panic a whole lot. My issue was not missing deer. I actually wish I would have missed more deer. My issue was like hitting them poorly and not finding them, not bad enough to miss, but not good enough to hit them, good enough to kill them. That was kind of a problem, especially in 2020. And I got to where I was kind of over target panic, I felt like. But this past year, I actually had a bunch of target panic. And I don't know if it was because like switching bows in the middle of the season. I don't know if it was because of like not confident in my setup or whatever, because I felt like I practiced a good amount, especially like going to Kodiak and stuff. But starting out how I did in Kodiak, shooting at that one blacktail several times and missing, kind of messed me up a little bit. But let's say this, like, I agree that target panic's a thing. I think target panic, a lot of it comes down to not shooting very much and not having it familiar and whatever. But I think buck fever, in my experience, is opportunity based. And I think it's mental. Because if you have a buck come in and run by, right, and it's a buck that you want to shoot, and you're you're hunting a spot where you're like, that's cool, I have 8 more of those, I'll be able to shoot one. You're probably not going to be like, before the shot. But if you, for a fact, know, there went my one opportunity for the year. There walked my one shot that I prepare hundreds of hours for, that I run all the trail cams for, that I have thousands of dollars in. When you like start to stack all that crap up on a single opportunity, that's when buck fever comes in my experience. And here is why I think I experienced it last year. I hunted like 35 or 30 something sits before November, or it was like mid-November. I had hunted that much, not individual days, like sits. And when I saw that buck that I shot last year, I'm like, I knew I probably wasn't getting up to Oklahoma very much more that year. And my opportunities in Texas pretty much sucked. And I knew, like, this is probably my one shot this year at killing a buck. And when that buck came in, dude, maybe not a top 10 deer that I've ever killed with my bow. And I'm like, why am I freaking like, dude, why am I freaking, I can shoot this thing, and that's what, but then I compared that to my previous experiences. I'm like, well, why was there a few years right there where it was just like blink, okay, cool, another one, blink, okay, cool, another one, blink, And I'm like, it's opportunity based. When I had multiple leases and I could hunt other spots and I could hunt as much as I wanted, it was like, there's nothing to be nervous about. I'm going to kill one and I'm probably going to kill multiple. But when you start to shrink that opportunity and you get in worse and worse spots and you think about it, like I have one opportunity this year, to me, I feel like the weight of the world stacks up on that opportunity and it makes it harder to execute on it.
I think that's true. I do think that's true, which it sucks because I feel like for the majority of people,
that's the reality.
That is the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to be very confident that you're hunting a spot that is just like, okay, I feel like the neighbors aren't going to shoot this deer. I feel like if I don't kill him right now, I will see him again. And I just don't think that's the reality for most people. I mean, including myself. And so like, I do agree with you because like there is for dude, that's exactly what it is, because Kodiak, Alberta, like everything basically last year that we did. I mean, it was kind of like a, you either get it or you don't type of scenario. And I guarantee you, well, I don't guarantee you, but like that makes a lot of sense.
And
I hate that.
Okay, so an example that I'll use, Jares. And I know I use him all the time, but he doesn't even really use social media. So I can talk about him as much as I want. He won't hear this. So I'm going to use him as an example. Up until like 2 years ago, Jake's like, I've never wounded a buck. And I'm like, how? That makes no sense. I'm like, what do you mean you never wounded a buck? And he's like, I don't have to. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't take shots over 25 yards. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't take shots over 25 yards? And he's like, well, if I see a buck and the buck gets away, I'll just continue to hunt him. I live here. I'll just keep hunting him. And eventually I'll get up to him. And I'm like, oh, well, that's the difference between maybe me and you and other people. Most people, when they see that buck, and it's at 47 yards through the brush, are like, that's the only time I'm seeing him. I'm going to try to shoot him. Right? I think that's the difference. Right? And I think it's opportunity. I think it's very opportunity based. If you have 10 of them that size and one gets away, you're like, cool. We'll kill the other one.
That's very unfortunate because like, unless you have both sides of that coin and you like, cause obviously like you have that side of the coin. I've experienced that side of the coin just from previous years when you've tagged out, you let me buy out your part of the 110. And I've seen that 110 or that 8-point and the 11-point Carol killed last year multiple times within like a 3-day span. And it's like, I didn't understand that because remember that the first time after the 8-point, the one I actually killed winded me like a day prior. I called you very upset. And I was like, dude, this is over. The season's BS. Like, I can't do a dang thing right. Like, this is against me. And you're like, dude, just chill, calm down. Like, this isn't the mountains. This isn't anywhere else. That deer will be back. And literally that next day, it was back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. But the reality is most people have never experienced that. That's not most hunting properties.
But that's not what, like, from the outside looking at, like, that's not what people envision buck fever. Buck fever, I feel like to most people are like, okay, it's a mental thing. Like, figure out a way to calm yourself. Now that could just be
because you ain't seen a damn buck all year, and when you see,
but
one,
that's what I mean.
Oh
That's what I mean. You kind of got to know the cause of it before you can fix it in a sense. And there's things you can do to like slow your heart rate and like try to control as much of that as you can, and like your blood pressure, like just everything. But I like it's stupid because I feel like there's really no fixing it unless you're just confident.
Yes, you have to kill enough animals to get over it, I think. Where you either have to like have a really good spot, be really good with your skills where you can create opportunities where if you mess up an opportunity, it doesn't matter because you can go create another one. Or say, I don't have to kill another one of these because I've hunted long enough, I've killed enough. Like if this gets away.
Next question.
Yeah. But, an example, a relevant example, and then we'll get to some of these questions. When we were talking about antelope, and me and Jake were talking about antelope today. You go to Wyoming and you shoot one over a water hole. When you go to Colorado, you're going to hunt hard And you're also probably not going to get extremely nervous because you just shot one and you're like, cool, I don't have to kill one. That's probably when you'll end up sticking one. You know what I mean? Instead of like, oh, here's my one opportunity. Yank it back, fire. That sort of thing. So
you tell me you ain't gonna let one fly at like
yeah.
85 yards? Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But that's why it'll work. Okay, let's work through some of these. Chad said, since I've been using my dogs to track deer, we've tracked a lot of 150s that turn into 105s. 100%, dude. We've all been there.
I was there last year. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm. I've been there. Oh, my one in Kansas, dude. I shot one in Kansas, and it was. Oh,
hold on. Don't say. Conveniently, I have the picture.
Oh yeah.
We were just talking about this.
Lane, we can see your comments. I'm fixing to read some of them. Go ahead. Okay, so context. I saw.
Hold on. Let the people see what or say what this would score. It scored bigger than mine.
I bet 50.
I think 50.
Maybe.
That's generous. I was going to go like 46.
Yeah. Anyways, it happens.
I'm kidding.
But to be fair, I never said that was a giant. I said it could have been. I don't know. I said I don't know. Lane, the film said, what's up, boys? Back after a week at the best podcast. What's up, man? With the boost emoji. Let's go. Bass Pop Podcast. Let's go, boys. Can you get my message? We do get your message. I remember you because I remember that deer profile picture. That's awesome. Mark Bruner said maybe that's why some people go to crossbows. They can't contain the excitement. That could be part of it. Maybe. I think it's pretty tough to kill a deer with archery equipment, especially when you hunt places where you might get one or two opportunities a year.
Yeah, it just sucks.
That just sucks. Situations, though.
I mean, yeah. I mean, because think about it. Before the 110.
Yep.
We talked about this ever before you had the 110, right? The majority of the time, whether and at least for our experience, you only have typically one, but sometimes maybe two legitimate opportunities at a very good buck per year. And if you don't seal a deal on that one, or maybe two if you're lucky, then you just know that like that's just kind of the odds. Like the odds of this, at least the way it's going, unless like you just get on this really good little area or something like that, that was your chance. And just knowing that doesn't help any. So
with that being said, and I can tell you this because before I started hunting down there, I basically had exclusively hunted the mountains and Bonita. Mm-hmm. And in Bonita, you can hunt 35, 40, 50 times a year, and you may run into one deer that you want to shoot a year. Maybe not. And that one opportunity may be one screaming over a hill at 350 yards during rifle season on a doe that you can't shoot. Or if you do, you know it was a Hail Mary anyways. But with that being said, if that's the reality for most people, the question is, what can you do about it? And you can either get better spots, or you can be one of the people that is like a tack warrior who, when they have an opportunity, is like, no, I will close the deal on this. I shoot my bow ridiculously, or you get really, really good at creating opportunities in crappy situations.
Which that takes an ungodly amount of time.
You can either give your time, you can give your money, or you can give your effort. And those are the only three things you can cash in. Most
of the time, you're going to be given your money anyways, whether it's a bad to the bone lease, or the thing is if you drive, unless you have like good public right behind your house. Like if we live down southeast where that was 15 minutes down the road, that's a different story.
I genuinely think I'd kill a good buck every year if I lived down there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For real.
But if you don't, then it's like you're like to get to a pretty good spot. Obviously, I have Kansas an hour away. I got another piece of good public that's about an hour away. All of the other spots that are closer, I checked out last year because that's what I was like, you know what? Instead of driving an hour one way, I'm going to try to drive 25 minutes one way, and maybe I can hatch out something. I seen more people than I did deer. And granted, I still got to go pick up some trail cameras. But with that being said, it's like that's not worth it either. You're better off driving. And if that's the case, you're going to be spending money and you're going to be still wasting time.
So which one of those do you choose though? So if it's like, for most people, it's not going to be money. Because like, dude, I don't have more money to spend. I barely pay my bills. Okay, so it's not going to be money. Effort in terms of like getting really good at creating opportunity on places that maybe other people can't, or time. I guess you could interchange those. Time shooting your bow. Which one do you think is more valuable?
See, but I think just because you shoot your bow well doesn't mean that.
Unless a little bit of both, obviously,
right? But unless you're trying to base that off of just like the 1 to 2 opportunities you get as is now.
That's what I basically mean. Like, you could either say, okay, I'm going to get 1 or 2 opportunities because I don't understand it, but I may get 1 or 2 shots a year. Or you could say, I'm actually going to spend the time I was going to go shooting 3D and everything to get better at scouting, running cameras, everything else, so I can create 3 or 4 opportunities a year. But I still shoot my bow at the same level. Which one of those do you think is more like valuable? Because that's the reality for most people. It's like, what should I spend my time doing?
So I'm sorry, repeat that one more time. Was it basically time versus?
It's basically shooting your bow, which is like investing time in being a really good shot for those 1 or 2 opportunities a year you get, or spending every waking second that you have scouting so that you can get better and running cameras, cheap cameras, so you can get better at creating opportunities and maybe you have 3 or 4 a year instead of 1 or 2. And it doesn't have to be one or the other, but if you had to pick one or the other.
I think the first one, the just shooting your bow, feeling more confident, knowing you're going to have 1 or 2 opportunities, because I feel like that's more attainable and realistic and repeatable. Because you're always like, if that's the bare minimum, like per se, like, okay, if you don't have to change anything, you still try to, go to work, make money, you still have family, you still have other priorities above hunting, which it should be, then I would think that if you just prepared yourself for those 1 or 2 opportunities, now granted, you might not get those opportunities. That one opportunity might be kind of like what you said, because there's been not just multiple years. Like, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but like at least 2 that I can think of right off the top of my head in like the last 5-6 years, maybe, that it seemed like at least one of those opportunities were a deer that was 54, 57 yards away, something like that. And that was my opportunity. And it's like,
yeah.
So with that being said, it's like it kind of ebbs and flows. Like sometimes, that's just what you get and you got to try to make the best of it. Now, also the flip side of that is like, maybe if I didn't have that like rushed mentality of like, okay, this is my one opportunity, like I got to make something happen. You try to make it work. Maybe that situation would have ended differently, where he came closer, that doe would have brought that buck closer, and like I just kind of rushed the encounter, so to speak. But if you, then if we talk about the just getting good about making something happen, maybe get, twice, if not 3 times as much as, I guess, shot opportunities as you did beforehand.
Which I think is realistic with scouting and running enough cameras. I think that's realistic.
I think so too. But if you still don't shoot your bow, then it's kind of like you still don't know what you don't know.
Well, and it's a baseline too. Like maybe instead of shooting, 100 arrows a week, you only shoot 20 arrows a week. And then maybe instead of scouting 15 days in the spring on this other one, you only scout 3. It's like, it's not you're not doing any of those. It's just like which one of those things you're going to spend the vast majority of your effort. Like do the bare minimum of either one. I tend to go the other way. Like I think if you can create opportunities through understanding scouting and everything else, then you can get deer within 20 yards and you can mess up pretty hard at it with a deer at 20 yards and still kill it. And I think you should shoot your bow, but if you go to tack, there's a lot of people that can shoot their bow really well that probably don't kill things. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of people that can't shoot their bow. Dude, if they said hit a Dr. Pepper can at 30, they'd be like, oh, frick. Like your family's lives are on the line. And those people kill giants. So now, that's not on heavily pressured public land, probably for the most part, but you get the point.
I don't think so.
It's an interesting discussion. I really think that that's what buck fever is, though. I really do.
I think so. I think so, but it's just, man, access is king.
Chad said, in my opinion, target panic is the mental side. Some people will black out at the moment of truth and lose all recollection of what happened. Buck fever is the racing heart before and after the shot and the shakes from the adrenaline dump. I think you're probably right on that. Mark Bruner said Cross Timbers was control burn last month. Any other public in Oklahoma they have done that on? Not that I know of. I don't really know of many that they do the burning on. So, but if they would do that, I'd like to shed hunt.
Yeah. That's all I was about to say. Figure out when they're going to do it and get right behind the fire.
Yep. Okay. A few on Instagram. ESPN 379 said, what are your guys' opinion on trapping to help turkey populations?
I think that's Espen.
Oh, Espen. Sorry. It is ESPN, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are your guys' opinions on trapping to help turkey populations?
I think that's, to a certain extent, why turkey numbers are lower than they are. Now, Grant, I know there's a lot of things, especially if you're around Oklahoma. Like, there's been a lot of talk of these big timber companies, and I'm sure they're well regulated. And I don't, if you actually know what's going on, you probably think that I don't know what I'm talking about, which could be the case too. But I've heard rumors.
And I don't.
And I don't. So take it with a grain of salt. I've heard rumors of people that hunt the more mountainous parts, kind of like in southeast Oklahoma, for turkey specifically, where they do a whole bunch of clear cutting and select cutting and stuff like that, timber harvesting. They throw out some sort of pellet. Now, I don't know if this is some sort of granule or fertilizer or something like that. Just try to like get the new, I don't know. I don't know. But apparently there's, from what they say, that kind of hurt turkey numbers in a sense. But just to go on your question again about the trapping, I think there's a lot to play into that. But for sure, like a lot less people, just because we talked with Caleb Greiner not too long ago about this as well. And the way he was explaining it was fur prices went down. And so not a lot of people trap unless they just do it for the enjoyment, or they're just trying to like help their own property out and maybe get a little bit of them corn thieves and whatnot off of their place. But, like coons, possums, like they're all nest raiders, and they will hurt the turkey hatch big time. Now, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, but.
No, my understanding of the Oklahoma stuff was just the nest predation is what they thought that was. And
oh, really?
I thought it was mainly nest predation, and then they changed the season because what was it? That there wasn't enough like spring growth yet for them to hatch poults into? Was that one of the reasons too? I thought, because they pushed it back, right? It used to be earlier and now it's later, I believe. Yeah, I think it goes like April 14th or 15th to like May 15th now, and it used to be April 1st. So I don't know if that has to like let the foliage and stuff grow up so the poults have a better chance of hiding. I don't know what that is. Not a turkey guy either.
I don't know.
Yes, trapping's cool though. I mess with it. Trapping's a pretty cool discipline. Hunter Simmons said, let's hear about your first bow kill.
You gonna start?
My first bow kill was Dauphin. Thank God, wasn't a button buck. I was hunting in my grandma's 40 acres. I guess my grandpa's and grandma's 40 acres. Over a corn pile. We had this stand that we called the back fence, and it's the worst access ever. You walk by the corn pile to get in the stand, and I'm like, how do they keep winding me? Yeah, that sort of thing. But I only had I used a Hoyt target bow, a little red target bow that my uncle got me. He let me take the sight off of his Browning bow from the 80s that he had, or early 90s, and it was a Cobra sight, single pin. Not a single pin like adjustable, like a 3-pin that had 2 pins broken off of it, that kind of single pin. And I remember that thing came in. I drew back. Of course, I was like, why is it letting me draw back? Well, it was a fawn. That's why it was letting me draw back. And arrow was rattling. I shot it. And thankfully, I like 10-ringed it. And it ran 50 and fell over all probably 60 pounds of it. And I was just like, this is amazing. Like, this is what I'm going to do now. And That was pretty much it. I think that same year, or maybe the next year, I shot my first buck with a bow. But ever since, it's kind of been, dude. Not that it's like bow or nothing, but you can hunt 3 times as long if you hunt with a bow. So it's kind of bow or nothing in a
You're an
sense.
elitist. I get it.
100%. Yep. What about you?
Did you have any? I mean, yeah. Did you have any failed encounters beforehand?
Yeah, seeing deer at like 60 yards and just them not coming in, but that was because of my access. I'm like, how are they hitting me? Like shooting one and missing one or something?
Yeah.
No, I never got any shot opportunities. They were never, dude. I had a 10-yard pin. Like I had deer that came into like 20, and I'm
Did you
just
have
like,
a corn pile out there?
yeah, at 10 yards, and they would come into 20, and I couldn't shoot them. I'm like, they're too far, because I knew where they were because I put my pile at 10. And so when they were past the pile, I'm like, they're too far. And so I'd have doe groups come in and stuff at like 20, and I just never could get a shot off. Old single pin life.
That'll get you. That'll get you. So my first one, it was so I hunted for I think the year prior before I killed, and I was using my dad's old PSE, like it was 1970s, 80s, something like that. Like it was a bow when he was a kid. And so I took that thing. That thing had like probably 5% let off, not 95, 5% let off. Like that thing was a snitch to pull back, at least for me. And had, you know, his old aluminum arrows that you found in the closet, and you just, you dug your hand in a drawer of old broadheads. You picked out the coolest looking ones, and that was the setup. But hunting Dustin's, which was back behind my mom's house, he had a buddy stand back there. You guys knew about it. You know, you guys hunted it multiple times before, yeah. And so I went back there every single day I could. And I remember I would always get my mom's chicken food, little cracked corn, and I just take a pail back there every single day. Like I didn't want to, because I remember she just got me a trail camera, and I didn't want to just like dump corn and then wait days to check it, because I was like, I just want to know what's out there, what's using it, because like that stuff excited me, and I wanted to check it every single day. So I would just take a pail of corn back there every day, get it, swap the SD cards, come back and check it. Now, granted, scent control wise, there was none. Like, and we were just doing it for the fun of it. Well, there was a doe group, regardless of, I guess, the scent or me, or I don't know if they got used to me, coming by every single day, just like doe groups do. And there was probably 5 or 6 of them in this group. And you know how it is. Like, you're up there. As soon as one walks in, they all kind of go funnel in that line. And then I was the same situation. Like, I had my corn pile 10 yards as well. But when they go to eat and they get 10 yards from you, and you're not like brushed in, you're in an old ladder stand. And as soon as one head, or, you know, one head goes down, another one pops up, and they just rotate. So you can't move. You're stuck unless you're just prepared beforehand. And I probably shot at 5 or 6 deer before I ended up hitting one that season, and didn't kill one. Missed every single one of them except the one I hit it like in the knee. And we just named that one Tripod. But, you know, trial and error. You don't know any better. You don't know what you don't know. Well, the following year, I think you got a new bow. I don't know if you just got one from Justin or what.
Justin gave me his old PSE, PSE Firestorm Light, and I let you have that Jennings.
Yes, and that Jennings, that was a lot easier to pull back. Now, I'm not saying that's why I missed or whatever, but I had the same kind of situation. Still didn't have a rangefinder, so I had a corn pile at like 10, 15 yards. But this thing had, I think, 3 or 5 pins. I forget. I think I only had 3 pins. So it was like 10, 20, 30. And what I would do is I'd just get like a log or a branch or something and just step off 10, 20, 30 yards, you know, away from that ladder. And then that was kind of like, as soon as they walked into that, like that's how you would do it. And I don't think I shot and missed at one yet that year, but this doe came out so low. It was like probably late October, maybe October 20 something. And the doe comes out, and I see, I think 4 or 5 other ones before that, but they don't want the corn. They don't pay no attention. I'm just like, dude, this is rattling my mind. What deer does not like corn? So this one comes in, and instead of wrapping towards the corn, it comes in and then heads straight away from me, walking directly away. And I'm like, all right, you're in shooting distance. You're like probably 20, 25 yards, something like that. I'm flinging. And I was like, okay, I'm going to try to put it in the ribs, but just, kind of, if it's walking like this, I'm sliding one in. And that's what I tried to do, but I basically hit it in the butt. And I know it sunk in. It sunk in deep. So I wait and I listen. What?
I hit it in the butt. It sunk in. It sunk in deep.
Well, it did.
All right. No,
Well,
go ahead.
I know I'm not the best at explaining or storytelling, but I'm just like trying to remember it as I'm saying it.
No. Go ahead.
No, what is it?
It's just funny, the words when you talk about a butt and you say it sunk in. It sunk in deep.
I get it. Understood. But like I'm trying to paint the best picture possible. That's what I'm trying to work on. Oh, I'm painting. All right. And so I like sit and wait and listen, and I don't hear nothing, but I seen the last part where I lost sight of it. And so I walk over there and I'm doing lines. This is in the evening, right before dark. I'm doing lines around this thicket, just trying to find blood or listen to something. Well, it's probably the third little loop I make, this little half moon shaped tree line. And all of a sudden I hear something like fall down and start kicking, like thrashing. And I'm like, surely that's not that doe. And so I'm like sitting there waiting, and then it stops. And I kind of get up and have one knocked. And I creep around there, and there it is, just laying there with the arrow sticking out of the butt and just dead, no blood around it, no nothing. And granted, when you gut her, she's just full of blood, but I must have hit something pretty important. I don't know, but I hit. It did the job. It wasn't pretty, but again, ain't much with me is.
I remember that Snapchat you sent me. You're like, got one.
Yeah. I had to pull the arrow out first.
Yeah. Taylor said it gives them more time to breed before they get killed for the turkey thing. And then Hootie said, hey.
You know who Hootie is?
Nope.
He is big time YouTuber.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
I think he's actually got a really good following.
Okay, so we got a few on Instagram. Zach said, hey fellers, do y'all ever analyze old buck pictures or soaker camera pics to develop a game plan for the next season? Do you ever?
What was that? Sorry.
Do you ever analyze old buck pictures or soaker cam pictures to develop a game plan for the next season?
We tried that, but it seems like as soon as you miss a year on hanging out trail cameras, it all goes to crap. So you're kind of like, well, I know this spot previously worked. It isn't like where my mind goes. It's like, okay, this deer came here at midday on December 7th, the last 3 years. I've never really had a deer do that. Have you?
Not the same time, same place thing. Like, no, only way that I've used historical data for bucks is like, hey, this buck on this property is typically here early October. Or, hey, I never see this buck in the summer or early October, but I always see him in the rut. Or I have this buck and he comes back late season after the rut and he's always back that time period. That's how I do it. Like kind of just generalizations, never like, oh, hey, this buck was here the morning of November 12th last year. He's going to be here the morning of November 12th this year. Because there's usually not bucks that have distinct enough or like, that stay on your mind enough to like analyze it to that level. Like there's usually a bunch of bucks in the same class. So that's kind of how I do it.
This is Hootie Who. Yes. 637,000. So
my man,
he's doing okay.
My bucks are normally great at disappearing come gun season. 100%, dude. We may have this. Do you hunt? Are you my neighbor? That happens to me too. Troy Holland said smiley face. Hunter said, don't you put crossbow and archery equipment in the same sentence?
Why not?
And then Rob said, cold bore shot once a day on top of regular shooting practice helps me. I think so. I heard that first podcast I ever did with Iad Yayawi, author of Crimson Arrows. That's one of the things he said he does.
What was his last name?
Yayawi.
Oh.
What's funny is I remember when I did that episode with him, I said, and I did like a little intro to it. I was like, Ead, Yahweh, or something like that. It was wrong.
Yahweh.
Yahweh, the one. It was and is. Rob or Espen said, "Holy cow! Someone pronounced my name right." Heck
Give
yeah!
it to me. I'm the phonics master.
Espen said, "What about burns around turkey habitat?" I know burns are very helpful for turkey habitat. I'm assuming they like that young, tender growth and everything else in it, just like deer.
I would think like the greener the better when it comes to turkey.
Yeah, I always think of short green when I think about turkeys. Zach said, "Go back in time in your hunting career. What would you change and or try to do differently?"
That's a good question.
What would you do differently?
I think I would call a dog sooner.
Oh my god, was that even back then?
I mean, it had to be a thing. We just didn't know about it. Like that's something I would probably do now because there's just one deer in particular that I want back, just because like that would have been my first public land deer, and I think he was a very good one. I don't think he would be my biggest, but like that's one that I would want back.
150s?
Well, I mean, you remember the trail cam picture of him. I don't think he's 150s.
I don't have that. Probably high 40s.
I think he's like anywhere from like probably mid 40s is where I'd put him. But he was just so cool. Like he was just a high and tight deer. He had one of his tines snapped off, I think, on the right hand side. I think it was like his G3 or 4. But he was just freaking there was that deer. And I think I made a fatal shot on him. I was using those what were they?
Expandable.
Fixed expandable broadheads. I think it's what was it called, like Bowhunter 101 or something like that.
Bowhunter 1, I think is what it's called.
Yes, and those things look bad to the bone. Richie Woodward actually gave them to me for I think Christmas or my birthday one year, and just a little 03 pack. And I mean, sunk it right behind the shoulder, ran off. You seen it run off? It did a big old buck roar. Blah, started doing a ditch digger. Dude, it was the coolest thing ever. The coolest thing ever. Gets up and just one leg up. He's running faster on 3 legs than I've ever seen a deer run. And long story short, we tracked it for a good while, but we were in a place that I wasn't confident in myself at. I felt like I would have got lost, and because it's a pretty big piece, especially if you don't have like onX, you don't know your crap. I mean, if you're directionally challenged like myself, it's like if these guys go hunt, I'm not going to go look for these because in my mind, like there's bear out here, there's could be mountain lions. I don't know which way the road is, and it's before I had actually a smartphone, didn't have onX, nothing like that. And we looked just that morning, and then by the next evening, everybody was hunting again. And that's just one that I was just like, you don't know until you don't know. You're just young, dumb, and an idiot. And looking back, it's like I would have slept out there if I would have had to now just to find that buck and or call a dog, because like it was really good blood up until we hit like the second or third tall patch of grass. And if you've ever blood trailed in like head high grass, it's dang near impossible, because like, okay, it might come off this way, but there's no leaves. And if it ain't solid, like just spraying out, you're not going to like really see the blood. And so we just kind of called it at that point, and that was that. But that deer's dead, and that's definitely one I wanted back.
I think the thing that I would do differently is I would get a bow that fits me earlier. I always shot bows that were like legit 3-4 inches shorter in draw, and I could never shoot them worth a dang. And I'm like, what's the deal? And I'm like, literally my arms like this. I'm like, why can't I freaking shoot this thing accurately? And not until like, I'm not kidding, like 4 years ago was the first time I got a bow that actually fit. And not that it's like I just started laying everything down, but gosh dang, it helped. And it helped enjoying shooting archery. And I feel like it helped my success rate a bunch. So I would get a bow that fits my draw length earlier.
You were pretty armed.
Yeah. Yep.
So there's a picture. Oh no. When did you get a good shooting bow?
Well, I got the prime that was 30 inches draw, but it still wasn't the right draw length. And I
That was
shot
like in college though, was it not?
No, I got the prime like when I got married. It wasn't till 3 years ago that I got a bow that like actually fits my draw length. The PSE was the first bow that would go 31 and a half. It's crazy.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different one.
I had a triax that would go 30.
Yeah, I remember your triax because you just got that whenever we went to the Panhandle to pronghorn hunt for the first time.
Exactly. Okay. Rob said I would buy more land when it was cheaper. 100%.
He's on to something.
Yep. Hunter Simmons said I was in preschool in 2008, but I should have been buying land. Funny, Hunter. He said I was 38 years old in 2008.
Oh, Rob said that?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. One of my favorite memes is that baby like sleeping in somebody's arms, and it's like me in 97 messing around when I should have been buying land.
Yeah. Kid playing with like Play-Doh or something. It's like stupid me. Yeah, I think about that, but then I get to thinking, I'm like, okay, but you know, my son or my grandchild is going to be saying the same thing about me now. Then because now land's what, 4,500 an acre around here, and some that might be cheap, but for here that's like a new high. And yeah, they're going to be like, man, that was 4,500. It's it's $8,000 an acre now, and it's just like, how come you didn't buy more? What do you mean? And it's like, now, okay, it just has to start with me, and like that's what I keep telling myself. It's like that's the key, because I don't think it's going to get any easier.
Well, recreational ground for deer hunting in Illinois now is about 10,000, almost 10,000 an acre, and at some
recreational,
point, it does become pretty unaffordable, and I'm going to be taking advantage of Western Oklahoma before that happens, because it will.
See, so I've talked with some people about this. Well, Dakota Proctor, he is saying that it's like it's going to have to crash. It's going to have to come back down because not everybody can afford it. Because he's like, well, then no one's going to be able to sell it or do anything like that, because then it's going to get so out of reach that like no one's going to be able to afford it. And I'm like, exactly. That's the big picture key right there. Like, you will own nothing and be happy. It's not new news. It ain't groundbreaking discovery or anything like that. But like, it's like that is exactly the point.
The point. How can people afford a $90,000 truck?
No. Most people.
They're selling a lot of them. How? It's like they just come up with more creative ways to finance it to you. And as long as you can get the payment right, people are going to do it. They'll eventually finance land for 25 years or 30 years or 35 or 40. And just like a home, it's like, oh, well, homes, the average home in America is $450,000. Well, people can't afford that. What are we going to do? Well, instead of lowering the prices of home, we're just going to finance it to you for 40 years. They're going to do the same crap with land. Like land, like, of course, there's going to be areas where it goes down in value for sure. And there's going to be places where it's overpriced, but a crash, no, that's not happening.
I think if anything happens, interest rates might go back down. But then there's people that's like, well,
now everybody can afford it.
Exactly. But like, they're like, historically, 7% isn't that bad. Used to be 14, 15%. And it's like, yeah, but that was also at the time when homes were $16,000 and trucks were $800 and stuff like that. And it's like, so like that you can't really put that math on it. So I think like 7% is high for today's market for sure.
Because of the values, because of what they are right now. Because in the 70s and 80s, when home interest rates were 14% or 15%, yeah, but you're talking about 14% on $38,000. That's like, and your income was $20,000 a year. So like you were paying twice of your income for the property. You're going to pay the thing off. Now, how fast can I pay off a $450,000 loan? It's like, dude, it's going to take forever. It's not going to work.
3 times longer, because I seen something on Facebook the other day, and it had the breakdowns, And I think it was like 1980s, maybe it was talking about, or if it was referring to. But in the 80s, with the income and the house prices and all that stuff, it said it took 3.2 years to be able to, like, for your, your salary to equal the price point of the house. Today's market, it is 6.8%. I mean, 6.8 times that, if that makes sense.
So this is one single generation. Our generation spends 31% of their income on housing, 16% on daycare, 10% on healthcare. Our parents' generation spent 23% of their income on housing, 7% on daycare, 3% on healthcare. It's not that you're worse with money, it's that your money's worth less. Or you spend more of it on other things.
Yeah. I mean, I think for the general mass, that's correct. But there's always going to be people, like, I think if you make, I'd say, a dual income, if you make $90,000 a year here in Veneta, dual income, and you're still like living paycheck to paycheck, depending on like certain situations. Every situation is different. But I think to a certain extent, people are also very stupid with money. Because I think, I mean, and I don't think that's...
You can't out-earn stupidity.
And I think you can make a lot more money than $90,000 a year. You can make $200,000 a year or whatever you want to make. But if you're like, you can still live paycheck to paycheck. I don't think it's like new or anything like that, but that is something I will say. The majority of people that I know that's like, they might not be making the most, but they're still like, you're like, dude, they still seem like they're doing fine. Granted, debt's easy to hide, but a lot of those people, it's like they're not going to buy $90,000 trucks. They're not, if you stay within your means, I think it's still relatively affordable, at least today, to be able to afford stuff.
Well, you don't have to participate. That's the cool part. You don't have to participate. And there's certain things, like I'll spend several $1,000s on a hunt, but I won't buy a truck. I won't buy a new car. I just won't do it. I'll buy a side-by-side for work, but I won't. Justin the other day, when we were like doing that podcast with him, and he said, dude, I'm tighter than tree bark. And I'm like, you are tighter than tree bark. You live in the same house. You drive the same vehicle. You're both paid off. Everything you have is paid off, and you refuse to buy other things. It's like, why? Because I refuse to participate in it. You can't do it. And the same people that are like, oh, must be nice to have land. I plan on buying land one day, and somebody's going to say it must be nice to buy land. And I guarantee their truck's going to be nicer. They're going to have more choice. You know what I mean? Like, that's going to be the person that's like talking your ear off about it. And you're like, oh, come on, dude, shut up. That's how it's going to be.
Yeah. I mean,
everybody pays a price to win.
I guess it doesn't help that discussion, but I'm just like, it's not out of reach today, obviously, but it's like, I guess A, depending on where you live, and then B, it's like, I feel like you got to mind your P's and Q's a little bit more than maybe in years past. And when I mean years past, like, I don't know how it was in the early 2000s. Obviously, I was like 3 years old, but just from my brothers either purchasing land or buying their first house or something along those lines, it's like, dude, they had the opportunity to buy 40 acres and a pretty, probably 1,500 square foot house for $160,000 and at like 2% interest rates. And I'm just like, dude, that's crazy.
Yep. All you can do is play under the rules that you're given. Hands of the diligent are going to prosper. I think you just have to be a lot more diligent when it's crazy. When everything's going crazy, I just think you have to be way more diligent, which sucks because that means less playing. Who said, older I get, the more I say YOLO. Hell yeah. I need to get me a Corvette too and just not worry about it. I remember thinking if we could make $50,000 a year, we would be filthy rich. Yeah, you're right. I remember thinking if I could make $20 an hour, you were going to have a hard time holding me down. I'd be flying out every weekend, going somewhere to hunt. Mm-hmm. And now you're like, $20 an hour. What are you doing? Trying to starve the kid? You know what I mean? I made $725 for 3 years. Sucked.
At Carter's?
At Carter's.
Oh,
dude,
no.
it sucked.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. 20 is I mean, I think Brahms is paying $20 an hour because every time I swing by, you see that sign. It's like help wanted starting at 20. That's crazy.
It's 3 times. And this is not that long ago, by the way, for me. This was like 10, 12 years ago.
Yeah, we've been out of high school for what, 11 years now? 20, yeah.
Yep. Well, no more on Instagram. I love getting on here. It's fun. It's fun.
Always a good time.
Fun with the lives. Talked about some target panic, some buck fever, complained about land prices. We got to do that every week, at least one.
We do that every day. What do you mean?
Yeah. Well, we appreciate everybody tuning in. Like I said, we do these every Monday, usually between 7 and 8 o'clock. We'll try to get on. So appreciate you guys tuning in and dropping comments and questions and just hanging out with us. If you're listening to this replay on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. And appreciate you guys tuning in. Any other housekeeping items?
Nothing other than guys go support the people that support us. So VPA, Out on a Limb, Numa Outdoors, Tacticam.
Alberta Professional Outfitter Society is a link in the bio.
I did text Taylor today just to say, yeah, because like I just want to plan it out because I do want to go back and shoot an elk, and that's what I told him. But I was just like, all I said was, how far out do I need to book out, just so I know. And he was like, yeah, I book out about 2 years in advance. So I'm like, okay, so probably should let him know next year
to go up to Alberta.
I think so, because then it's like, granted, I want to try to get one down in Colorado. That would be fun. But I think hearing that would be like 3 years. A, I'm going to be out of the elk meet, and then B, hopefully I'm in a position to go back because that was an absolute blast.
Yeah, it was. Rob, thank you guys for tuning in. Thanks everybody for hanging out. And we'll catch you guys same time next week.
Jesus loves you.
Bye.